story is incredible. How you just one minute you're living in DC, and next thing you know, you're in Lisbon. So I really want to unpack that. I'm sure there's probably a little bit more to it than that.
It was a
just woke up one day. I'm going to Lisbon.
I don't advise that, people. If you listen, do not just wake up and go move to a country.
You on vacation? No, I'm just going. I'm
going. So what's the backstory? Like, how do you go from you're in DC, you're doing business, to now you've decided you're going to just relocate and have this independent lifestyle?
I don't think it was just one thing. And I advise this for people that it shouldn't be just one thing that gets you to leave your home country. Hopefully it's a bunch of things. I think there was a lot of people who I was close to, they were passing away for a variety of reasons. I know Ted and I share a business colleague that passed away prematurely, and she was one of my at least healthiest friends. You know, she barely eat meat. She did yoga every day. She was, and one moment, she said she was diagnosed with cancer. We were like, listen, if anyone can beat cancer, you can. We fine. And a year later, she was gone. So between that and so many other people that I know who just left prematurely, it really had me, thinking about life differently. And I had worked hard. I did the DC grind for forever. And in 2008, 2009, I lost everything and had to start all over again. And so when I was working so hard, I was like, okay, so I worked so hard, I made great money, but I didn't have a life. And then I'm seeing people who thought they had so much more life to live. And I'm like, so what did I do it for? Like, why was I working so hard to make all this money to do what? And so I decided that I wanted my life to be, I wanted to be able to look back at it. If someone told me I had 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years to live, that I could say, I rocked those last 2 years out. Like I rocked this life out. And at the life I currently had, I couldn't say that. And so I proactively tried to figure out what that looked like. And so that meant traveling initially. So I left the country for every month for like 3 years straight. And it was from that experience of how I'm treated differently in other countries, how the food is real in other countries, how just so much, nuances. I was like, what am I doing here initially? And I remember looking at my phone and the weather app, and I was in DC and it said it was like 7 degrees. And I was like, what am I doing here? And then it was just so much.
You don't like 7 degrees?
No. And then it was like so much racial tension that was happening. I remember I would cry. I was like for like a month straight. I was waking up crying, whether I'm looking at social media, somebody else's life was taken. I am crying for people I have never met before. And it was, and I think at the time, maybe my, a woman who was like a grandmother to me, she had passed away. And I was turning 40 and I was like, YOLO, no, I'm out of here. I'm out. Let me just go. If I don't like it, I'll move back. Like, what's the big deal? And then I left about 3 years ago, and there's no way in the world I would ever move back to the United States of America.
Wow.
Yeah. I could say that now. I couldn't say that before, but it's wow. Yeah.
So I'm just, this whole, I know I'm standing this, and as long as I've known you, I don't think I've asked you any of these questions, but like your first day in Lisbon, when you moved to Lisbon, like what was that like when you woke up and you like looked around? He's like I really did this. Like, what was that like?
I don't think it actually hit me till some weeks later, but when it did hit me, I lost my first month. I think I cried every single night. I would call my best friend. I had a straight breakdown in the Sheraton Hotel in Sardinia because I went to American Hotel because I knew they were going to speak English. And I called my best friend and I'm like, I'm having lunch at a hotel because I just need to hear English. I don't know what I'm doing. And I was having an absolute meltdown. And I was cooking one day, and I usually, sip on a little wine when I'm cooking. And I cut my finger. I'm like, I don't even know who to call, and how do I get like? It was an absolute train wreck for like the first.
I know your friend. She probably didn't want to say this, but I told you not to go out there.
Well, she's not that type. She would never tell me not to, but everyone told me it was going to be okay. My friends are actually super supportive, but I know in their mind they wanted to say, "Babe, just come home." I know they wanted to say that, but none of them ever did that.
Come on back home, and maybe you just go to New York, right? You have to go out the country, right? How about Charlotte? Like some people relocate to Atlanta. Like, why do you have to go from Washington to Lisbon?
Yeah,
Louisiana. I mean, how about Louisiana? You got a thing for aliens.
Right. Louisiana. Yeah. Yeah. I think after that, and it's an important point that after you get past the fear and the feeling of it being uncomfortable, there's a beautiful life on the other side for whatever it is you want to do. And that's what you have to remember. It did not feel good. And doing something different does not feel good. It feels icky. Okay. And you got to get over that feeling and continue to move forward, because the other side is something beautiful. You don't just change your whole life or change so many aspects of you and it be the same. Like even when you're going through therapy, it sucks. Like it doesn't feel good.
Right.
And then on the other side, you have gained a different perspective. You learn how to handle things differently. It's beautiful on the other side. So you just really have to be, you have to go part. You can't have this great life and you just go and give up every time it feel funky. Like come on, don't do that. Don't do that.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, it's a beautiful life on the other side of your comfort zone. When you get past that whole comfort zone thing and you push and you take risks, it's beautiful on the other side.
And you also think about in this situation, like in business, right? And you're up against the wall and trying to get your business off the ground or to get clients or like whatever you face. Oh, it's a pandemic. I can't go to networking events. I can't get out, shake hands, meet people. And then you got Cinnamon who says, I'm just gonna go into another country, not know the language, and be successful in my business. Like it shows that there is a way to do it, right? You're in this room and you got to get out.
So what about this location independent lifestyle? People are watching this sim and they're like, okay, yeah, I want to do that. I just want to pick up and I want to move and just go somewhere else. What are some more tips that you have for people that are looking?
One of the tips is you need to travel first. Don't just feel like you're going to leave America and you ain't never been out the country. That is not what anyone should do. I would say start off because you don't even know the amenities of America that you may really, really like. And you feel like you may need that. Moving out of the country is not for everyone. Okay. So figure out what your non-negotiables are, how you feel comfortable, and then the trauma that America has gave you. Because if you leave America, I don't think anyone would be surprised that Americans don't have the most, the greatest report card of other countries and how they feel about Americans. I don't think that's a shock, right? That's not a shock. And there's a reason for that, because sometimes Americans will tend to go to another country and try to make it America, or bring some of the America ideologies that aren't necessarily positive to other parts of the country. And so we're looked at as being arrogant or brash or all of these various things. And so you have to humble yourself just the same way if you were just to go as a guest at someone's parents' house. Like you're not up there like, oh, y'all should do this. And you need, you have to come that way when you were going to other people's countries. If you're the person that you need to have resort life and you go out of the country, then you aren't leaving the country. Like you haven't seen anything, so just be humble and just observe and just act the way you would act if you were in someone's home with their parents. Just do that first and then try different experiences in different countries so that you can find out what matters to you if you were to leave the US.